In this video, I want to talk about the battle that we're not seeing. God has used metaphor. We talk about metaphor a lot. We talk about it even in workshop when we're talking about what's going on inside of your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your memories, your dreams, your circumstances. That God is using metaphor. He's using parable to get your attention and to speak certain things to you that can't be spoken any other way, can't be understood any other way. And it's important that we're attuned to God in all of these different places, in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our circumstances, our dreams, our memories. It's important because that results in our entire soul being oriented, being conformed to Him. He tells us don't be conformed to anything else. Not the flesh, not the world, not false gods, not other nations. Do not be conformed to anything else, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the only way for you to be transformed by the renewing of your mind is to be transformed by His Spirit inside of you. You can't transform yourself by yourself. The way that your mind becomes renewed is that He begins to pour new wine into the wineskins the new wineskins He's placed in you. He's removed your old heart of stone and He's placed a new heart in you. And that is where He's performing His ministry. He is communicating from His Spirit to your spirit because God is Spirit. But He's performing His ministry in your heart where you're going to be justified on the last day. And so people will ask me, what's going on right now? What is this going on in Israel? What does this mean? And a lot of times what they mean is, where is this in Bible prophecy so that I can have a play-by-play and have the itinerary of what God is going to do? That's what the wicked people want. They want the itinerary of what God's going to do so that they don't have to trust, so that they don't have to receive what God's doing with them. Well, God gives us the end game, but He doesn't give us all of the pieces in between. He gives us some of the pieces, but we're supposed to be relating with Him. He's given us just enough information so that we relate with Him around what He's doing and who we must be and who we must become in this situation. And He's using this parable right now. He's using a nation that's being attacked by other nations in the name of God, right? And He has said that to us. The very people who are going to kill you are those who think they're doing a service to God. He said it to the apostles before He went home to the Father. You're going to be flogged in the synagogues, the places of worship, by the people who teach and should understand. These are the people who will persecute you. The very people who claim to be doing a service to God. The hypocrites, the liars, those who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan, as is written in Revelation 2 and 3. And you know what I see Christians doing right now? On one side of the aisle, I see counterfeit Christianity supporting behaviors that are in opposition to the word and the commands of God, and they don't really have a desire for truth. And these are the very people who will say things like, well, what's going on over there? Where do we fit it in biblical prophecy? Tell me what's going to happen, right? That's what one person asked me who left our group. She wasn't satisfied with the answers that I gave her. She wanted to gather around herself many teachers to tell her what her itching ears want to hear, and that she can just live out her covenant through other people. That's ridiculous. If I just support Israel, then I'm living out my covenant. What happened to suffering for Christ? You're not suffering here. That's ridiculous. And I see the same thing happening on the other side of the aisle with people who see that Christianity, counterfeit Christianity is what they're looking at. They see that counterfeit Christianity is something they don't want anything to do with. And because they don't return back to the Word of God and they don't ask Him, what do you want me to do? How would you like me to fight? How would you like me to contribute? They have gone and converted to Islam. What's up with that? And it's one and the same, because they're not suffering with Palestinians. They're not suffering with Muslims. Everybody else is going to pay the price for you, right? Everybody else is going to bear that covenant for you. It's fake, it's phony, it's hypocritical, and it's false. I also have seen that among Muslims, there's fruit that I wish I could see in Christianity. And indeed I do. I see it in the assembly. I see it in the small body of believers, but I don't see it in so-called Christianity at large. I see a lot of arrogant people who love to live in ignorance, love to believe that somebody else is going to pay the price for them. Jesus paid the price. He paid it all. Jews are going to pay the price. They'll pay it all. And at the end of the day, I'll just show up to the party, right? Why is it if people have truth in them and they believe in the word of God and God led them to that word, why is it that they're not standing? Why is it that they're not returning to God and asking him, how do you want me to fight, Lord? How do you want me to clean up your temple that has been defiled? What would have happened if Mattathias and the Maccabees, his family, what would have happened if they said, you know what? I don't really like what's going on here in Judaism. I think I'm going to go find another church or make another church. There's only one gospel that saves. And so if that is being defiled by liars and hypocrites, then you have a job to do, don't you? You better get in there like the Maccabees and start cleaning up that temple. And how do you do that? You need to open your mouth. You need to start telling people what you've learned and stop being afraid to share. You need to start calling people in and calling people out. Do you understand that you're called to do that in the word? That is not a matter of judgment. That's a matter of being a watchman. That is a matter of discernment. The judgment that God tells you not to participate is a judgment regarding condemnation. But it so happens in the Bible that you are supposed to judge just enough to say whether a person should remain in the body. Do you realize that? Do you realize that Paul said, get him out? The man who was sleeping with his father's wife, get him out. I've already handed him over to Satan that he might be saved on the last day, for the destruction of the flesh that he might be saved on the last day. Do you realize that Paul says have nothing to do with those who claim to be believers but participate in these acts, who are sexually immoral, etc.? So you tell me, what is the definition of judgment, guys? Because I hear a lot of counterfeit Christians saying, oh, no, I'm not going to judge. Well, they're happy to judge that it's okay for Jews in Israel, Zionists in Israel, to kill Palestinians. That is a judgment. Hello. They're happy to do that, to give their full support of murder. I don't know where in the word God says go ahead and murder people and bypass God as the one who brings judgment. Maybe these things were allowed in the Old Testament in order to help you to understand what's going to happen in the end. But you know darn well that Jesus fulfilled the law in love. There is no talk of that in the New Testament. So if you are a Christian and this is what you are justifying, you don't know your word. And if you don't know the word, you don't know God, honey. There is a battle that needs to be fought. It is a battle that's not seen. It is a battle that is being provided to you in parable, in metaphor right now with what's going on in the Middle East. You see what's happening. You see the takeover by false religion. You see that these are murderers who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Now, do you see it happening in Christianity? Those who claim to be Christian, though they are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan, taking over. And you know why they're able to take over, guys? Because there are not enough people standing in truth and saying, no, that's garbage, and I'm not going to stand here while you teach that and murder God's people with your lies. Please take what I have said, bring it to God, ask him, what do you need to be doing at such a time as this? Because if you're not suffering for Christ and you're not a watchman and you're not speaking truth and you just hold that treasure for yourself, you will be called a wicked and lazy servant at the end of the age, and you will not make it.